guys, welcome to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show, episode 99. Here we are, so close to 100. And when you really sit back and think about it, that's a lot of episodes.
A lot of episodes. 99, big deal. I'm wearing my Jason Taylor 99 jersey, repping episode 99. So, yeah, big deal. We're one away from the big 100.
I know. We have to think of like a really, really fun 100 episodes. So, guys, obviously stay tuned for the 100. But in the meantime, enjoy 99. Again, guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight, Tuesday.
Today's
I'm ready to
Tuesday.
jump in. Oh my gosh, without football, I'm like jumping already. We have a lot to talk about, but I want to get right into it. We had an amazing weekend this past weekend. DCC, it was your first Dolphins Challenge Cancer, and it was my third. And it was an amazing weekend that we had, not only with our team, but with the community. And we raised and the community, and God, many people, we raised over $6 million this year.
Yeah. Well, overall, what was the total number?
This year was $6 million.
I thought I said Biggie post something different.
No, I'm going to double check, but
I thought he said 14 million, which is a substantial difference. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that he said that the final number, because last year I remember being
7,000 participants.
Right.
14 million this year.
14 million.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're off by about $8 million.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, no, that's a huge number. And I mean, that's an understatement. Obviously, this gets started from the off season to throughout the season. And then the final numbers given on race day week when all the funds are distributed and announced. So that's a huge deal. $14 million raised for cancer research is tremendous.
Yeah. So it being your first year, what do you think? So we did the 5K. There's many different options when it comes to the DCC, right? So I'll go over those. You can do the bike ride, which there's 4 different options, everywhere from 99 miles, which is the highest, Jason Taylor, all the way to the 13-mile race or 13-mile track, which is the Dan Marino. And then you could do the 5K. You can either run, walk,
right,
or run or walk that one. And then you could do it virtually. So just because if you can't get to Miami, there's no reason why you can't partake in it. Many different ways to get involved with DCC.
Yeah, people did it virtually over in Europe. People were doing it across the ponds. People in England were doing it virtually. So just everybody can get involved no matter where you're at, literally. And no, it's a tremendous cause. And to answer your question, my first one, I loved it. I had been to other ones with you, and I think you had been to other ones prior to you starting actually participating in the race. I know you ran a couple of years ago. This year, you appeased me and several people on our team and walked. So thank you for doing that. I know you got some pictures that you want to show. But no, yeah, it's a big deal to not just support it, but also engage in it. And we saw some special people that joined us as well, where they do the Formula One. So you show the pictures? Or?
Yeah, well, before we get into the pictures, kind of just want to give you guys a little more overview. With myself, I'm co-captain with Big E, Ian, Worldwide Dolphin Fans. We started this team last year. It was kind of a team for people who maybe didn't fit into a company or maybe didn't fit into like a region, because there's obviously a lot of corporate companies who do it, like Lennar and the Kai's company. So maybe they didn't belong to a company, but they didn't want to be solo. So that was kind of our thought behind starting Worldwide Dolphin Fans. And so let's get into how the event went. All right. So every year before the actual event, well, the last 2 years, on that Friday, we have a team social, team meet and greet. And this is our team meet and greet this year. We met up at Uncle Al's in Dade, a really fun bar that we took our buddy Sheldon to a few weeks past. And we had a nice meal together. So that was starting it. And then, so that was how, and a lot of teams do this too. It's just something that really works for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a part of the race. Some people were doing different portions. Some people ran. I believe we had somebody in our team that did the cycling as well. Yeah. So we couldn't all, be together. But those that were going to do the jog / walk / crawl to the finish. This is us before, doing a kind of a team huddle before we took off. So that's awesome.
Okay. This is us at the starting line. So there's 3 different corrals that you can be at the 5K. You can either be A, which means you're hauling butt the whole entire time. B, which means you're going to keep a fast pace, maybe not necessarily run, but you're going to stroll along. Like And then there's C, which are the true walkers. So our group was a mixture of B and C, but I kind of rallied everybody up in that B crowd.
Yeah.
So this is us with the other walkers, runners, and getting ready to start. So this is actually a very interesting, it's a video, but this is a picture of the video. As we were about a mile and a half into the walk, you know, we're walking and we're talking and just having a good time. We just finished our first water break and we look to the left and sure enough, we see like these huge baby carriages and these two guys pushing, not like baby strollers, baby carriages. And we were like, oh my gosh, that's Tua and Coach McDaniel. Yeah. So it was kind of like, oh, wow. Like, it's not like we saw them ahead, we ran up to them or none of that. Like, they were just to the left of us. So this is a snapshot that I grabbed of Tua pushing his blue baby wagon, huge, like an adult could fit in it, and McDaniel doing his thing as well. And they have like their friends around them and their family. But this was about at the mile and a half mark of the 5K.
Yep, and they had obviously security around them. Look, I'll be honest, they're not in neither of those guys are right now in my best graces. But listen, you put all that aside, but you never know. Some knucklehead might be out there trying to taunt one of them or whatever, totally uncalled for. And so security was around them as they should have been. But no, it's a tremendous statement on both of their parts to be out there amongst the people and walking with their kids, no less, in strollers. So that was a pretty cool moment, and definitely those guys deserve credit for being part of this community effort.
Perfect. So this is one of my favorite pictures that it looks like I think you snapped of this one. This is our co-captain Big E, who could not partake in the actual walk this year, but you bet your bottom dollar that he was at the finish line waiting for all of us. This is him giving us high five. Or this is the beginning or the end?
This is the beginning.
The beginning. No, this is the beginning. I thought this was that. Well, he was at the beginning and then he was at the end for us. He was at both places. So this is him giving us love, high fives, and prepping us as we go on for the 5K. So just extra love from our co-captain Big E here. Okay, and then we have here. All right, so this one I'm going to talk about as well. So this is something, a very, very special picture for Lou and I. This was actually his first 5K that he ever really was a part of. Obviously you work different 5Ks and everything. Yep. But this is the first time that you got a bib.
That's right.
A bib. And so I got to explain to you like a bib, not like a baby bib. So I love this picture because you're proud because you just finished your 5K. You have your bib, the finish line, and this was us after. So this is an awesome, awesome picture that we have of us. And then this is our team, right? You can see we have, there's a lot of faces that you'll recognize. Miss Finn's there, of course, Ian, a lot of people from social media, some people you may not know, but this is a good snapshot of our team. We met in front of garage number 20, which for reference, that's for the Formula One. And we did our group pick before we headed out on our ventures of the 5K.
Yeah, awesome.
And then this one is the last one I have. This actually has my name and it has Steven DeFilippis, who's a member of our team as well. They had a wall for people who are heavy hitters. Heavy hitters are those who reach 4,000 and above. So it's a special section. So little shout out that the little extra that they do for those people who reach those milestones.
Awesome. No, that's huge there. And congratulations on being a heavy hitter again. That's awesome that you were able to dedicate a lot of initiatives that we took on during the year to raise those funds for DCC. And just, again, overall, $14 million were raised.
6,000 people, $14 million.
Incredible. Just an incredible amount. And really, I'd say you asked me, so I'll answer. First of all, here is my bib. I got my bib. That was my number, 6742. To commemorate my first ever 5K. I used to be in good shape, guys. I'm no longer. It's an uphill battle right now, but I did used to be in good shape. But even when I was in good shape, I played all sports. I played basketball, football, baseball. I was more of a sprinter guy. I like to run for, not for distance so much, but just for speed. Just get out there, whether it was run the bases, run down the field, run up the court. So, this is unique. And I walked it. I got no shame in it. I walked it. But yeah, that's why I never really got into marathons or anything like that, because I like the instant satisfaction. You're on first base, you steal second. I played defense in football, so you rush the quarterback. You're up. It's quick. So this is a little bit out of my foray there, my comfort zone, but I did it. I loved it, and hey, I got the medal, right? So here's my medal. It's got the DCC 15. This was the 15th annual, so that's pretty cool. And it's actually heavy. It's a heavy medal, if you will. And then in the back, it's got the date. So that's forever. I can't take this one away from me. I earned this medal, but it's not really about the medal or my accomplishments. It was about raising money and awareness to cancer research, and for that I'll be forever indebted to, because you just you see the stories of people who were cancer survivors, cancer fighters currently fighting, and people that lost loved ones because of cancer. One of the best things that I got to see was people ring a bell. Those that are currently cancer free or have achieved beaten cancer, intermission. They were able to get up and ring that bell, and that was very rewarding to see. And then of course you got people. I know our official team shirt had a lot of people in the back that were we were racing for them or walking for them in their memory, and so just a full circle moment between, again, those that lost loved ones, or those that are in the fight or just concluded the fight for the time being and hopefully forever. It was awesome to see those inspirational stories, and those that also were remembering their loved ones.
Yeah, and within our team alone, we have cancer survivors, we have people who have cancer, we have the family members. So our team encompasses all that. It's a very, very special event. Obviously, I do it because my grandma passed away in 2009 of lung cancer, and then a very good friend of mine, Gary, the mayor, passed away last year. So those are my two whys among everyone else's loved ones who I also run in honor of. I
got my Gary bracelet here as well, and I did have, because Big E allows everybody to put somebody on the shirt. Yeah. So I put Ziggy Summerfield, who was lost to cancer. And of course, his son Frank Sommerfeld won our contest at the beginning of the year, our squares contest, and he chose to donate the winnings towards DCC in honor of his dad. And we were very, very powerful, and we were very moved by that. We said, hey, that's not the purpose for this. We already put out a certain amount of money for that. That's why we did it. And he said, no, I understand that, but I want to contribute more, and I want to do it in honor of my dad. And so we did that for him, and that was a tremendous gesture.
It was. No, that was very, very, very selfless of him to do that.
Yeah.
And in closing of DCC, if you guys did want to partake in it, whether virtual, in person, whatever the case would be, registration does open up in August. And then from August to March, because you still couldn't fundraise through March, that's when you guys would raise the funds and join a team. Our team, again, Worldwide Dolphin Fans, is always open for absolutely anybody out there. So if you are interested in joining our team or any team in general, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to plug you in and to get you set up. They always say the first step, the hardest step, is actually doing it, like if it's a gym or anything, or an invite. So I'm personally inviting all you guys to be a part of DCC. It's something big. They say one team, one fight. So I hope that you'll be part of our team or the team of DCC next year.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a very rewarding cause, and you're a better person for it, honestly. So I highly recommend it. If you have the opportunity to do so, please consider so. You want to check into the room? Speaking of gym, Russ is at the gym right now, tuning in from the gym. Thank you, Russ. You're the world champ out there. Brent is in the house. Insanity. Thank you guys for joining. We'll go back to that. Russ said that the yes, they're trying to ban the tush push. We'll see how that goes with the rules committee, but I think that's ridiculous. So yeah, we got thank you guys for joining us. Of course, if you're watching this on X, Twitter, make sure to jump over to YouTube and like tonight's episode and subscribe to the channel if you're not done so already. And we appreciate you guys joining us. There's never a dull moment in sports, but we did want to start it off with a tremendous cause that we did this past weekend. That's now in its 15th year, and we got to get the total number. I know that it was 14 million raised this year, but I'm curious to know what the total number is.
They throw out a lot of numbers, right? They throw out the amount of teams, the amount of participants, amount of raised, total raised. but millions has not only been raised this year, but the last 15
Yeah,
years.
I'm curious to know what that total number is. So we'll get that number, and we'll let you guys know that next episode.
Perfect. All right, so big story going on down the street in Coral Gables, Florida, literally down the street from us. You have the number 2 Duke Blue Devils in town, playing against our men's Canes basketball. What's interesting about this, obviously, anytime a low-ranked team like that comes into the Gables, draws a huge crowd.
Yeah.
Duke's obviously a basketball powerhouse, has been for quite some time now, but they have potentially the number 1 draft pick of the NBA.
Yeah.
His name is Cooper Flag, playing tonight, so we may see him get picked up within the first few. He's projected 1.
He's projected to be the number 1 pick, and every NBA team right now is figuring out how they can capture the flag, because he right now is the best player in college basketball, playing for the number 2 team, as you mentioned, and really, Duke is always one of the top 5 teams any year in particular. So. They're in town, so it's pretty interesting. But that's not the only story.
Well, of course, we'd like to see the upset, but I know that last time we checked, the Canes weren't doing too well.
Yeah, peek your head on it. It's on there.
It's commercial.
Oh, it's commercial right now. Okay.
I see a Nissan truck.
Well, if you guys are watching it, Brent, we're going to get to the 4 nations in a second. That was freaking awesome.
That was like the Olympics. That was too much just for one night.
And look at this. Brent is a Blue Devils fan, apparently. So, Brent, give us a score update, man, because it's commercial right now. So give us a score update if you could. But yeah, the big story is that, yes, the number 2 team in America is in town. And yes, the potential number 1 pick's in town. But the bigger story is that the University of Miami is, by all accounts, getting ready to hire Duke's top assistant coach, Jay Lucas. And so the fact that, they're in town adds to the allure of the story, the aura of the story. And, John Shire, the current Duke coach, was asked about it, and he refused to answer any questions. He was kind of like rude about it, which I get it. He's not going to pretty much say yes, but it's happening. But
he's right now, the team's 6-21. Like, he needs to just focus on winning. There can't be any outside distractions. So
John Shire's the Duke head coach.
You're talking about the Duke head coach.
Yeah. So when they asked him, he kind of didn't know what to answer, and he was just pretty much just saying, hey, no, look, it's our. He's a member of our basketball team right now, so we're not going to really get into it. But yeah, Jay Lucas, top assistant Duke. He pretty much
it's
runs.
A blowout.
The Duke was a huge favorite in this game, and so the fact that John Shire didn't feel compelled to answer any of the questions tells you everything you need to know, which is pretty much that it's likely to happen that Jay Lucas will be the next head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Of course, Bill Courtney is the interim coach right now. And he is there because Jim Larinaga, Coach Al, resigned midway, or not even midway, at the beginning of the season. And so that's why we're in this predicament. As you mentioned, the Canes having a horrible year, 6-21, 2-14 in league play in the ACC. So that's pretty horrible. The issue here is that the Canes season was over when Coach Al, resigned at the beginning of the part of the season.
Yeah.
But the transfer portal, which is another whole total mess, that starts as soon as the season is officially over, but it starts before March Madness begins. So the Canes season will formally end before the tournament starts. But, of course, Duke is going to continue to play deep into March and probably April. And, by him not accepting this job and staying on with Duke, that is going to affect him recruiting players off the transfer portal for the University of Miami. So a lot of people want to know. They want to know if he's going to be the next head coach, because if he is, he needs to put it out there and he needs to alert those players in the transfer portal that he's going to be representing the Hurricanes and not the Duke Blue Devils. So it's a tremendous position for the Hurricanes to be in. Anytime you get somebody with a mindset and the knowledge of a program like Duke, you're doing something right. So I hope this gets solidified right away, and we're able to announce them as soon as possible.
Sticking with bad basketball, the Miami Heat have been disgraceful ever since Jimmy Butler left. They're ice cold at the moment. Nikola Jovic broke a bone in his hand, so he is minimally out for 4 weeks, which is very, very, very unfortunate because he's really, even though he's one of the younger ones on the team, he's developed into a very, very nice player, and for him to be out is not good. But yeah, go figure. Jimmy Butler goes to the Warriors, and they're like 5-1. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, and the reverse of that is down here. We're 1-6. So the Heat are 1-6 since the Butler trade. As you mentioned, the Warriors are 5-1. So you trade a player of Jimmy's caliber, and all of a sudden the roles are reversed, literally. And the teams have one team has ascended, the other team has gone down. The Warriors, I think, were in 12th place when Jimmy Butler got there. They're now in 8th place.
Yeah.
So they've moved up, and the Heat have done the opposite. They were in 6th place when Jimmy was on the team, and now they've dropped down to the 9th place in the Eastern Conference. So,
and there's a lot of basketball to be played in March. A lot of games. So if it is continuing to this sinkhole, we're going to be in trouble, and we may not see basketball played in Miami throughout the summer. And maybe a quick ending for our team this year, which is something obviously we don't like, and we've been lucky the last few years, with our playoffs.
Yeah.
So it may not happen this year.
We've seen some good runs, but the issue is that some of those runs, even when the run that we went to the finals with, that was as an 8th seed. And, we've always been, a team that's been, unfortunately, the last several years, been in the play-in tournament and having to, have these huge upsets. Tremendous run, especially in 2023, when we went all the way to the finals. But you've got to position yourself better. You can't be messing around and not having home court advantage round after round, because eventually it'll catch up to you. And that's what's taking place here now. And, we're still upset at Jimmy. I'm still very upset at Jimmy.
It's an X that you don't even think about anymore. It's beyond and done with. I don't know why you're lingering on it. He is done. He is out of Miami. No one's talking about him anymore. He did what he had to do. There's no reason to be upset about him. He left. Move on. It is what it is. He's not going to help us with the team anymore. Like, there's no reason to even think about him anymore.
But my point behind it is that, you have a player that, was gotten you to 2 NBA finals, and they didn't do anything to help him out. And that is why we are where we're at now. You got guys that just haven't developed. Even Jovic, he's hurt now, but he hasn't taken that next step. He's still very young. I think he's 20 years old. Jaime Jaquez has, gone back a step. So, I just wish that we had done more.
We have a young team. Khalil Ware, there's a lot of, we have a
very young team. Yeah, true.
Then you have somebody like a Tyler Hero who, is stepping up tremendously. Just won the 3-point contest at the All-Star game. Bam Adebayo's been doing what he needs to do. But then you have somebody like Terry Rozier who's just taking up air on the bench. So it's just been really up and down this season. Obviously, the big sabotage was the whole Jimmy Butler drama, but there's really no reason to talk about him. He left us kind of in this position. Not kind of. I mean, he did, and we just have to move forward and just hope that Coach Spo and the rest of the squad, builds us a good team next year. I'm really looking towards next year, unfortunately. Well, I know you don't want to throw in the towel, but
there's still seasons to be played. You still got the rest of this month, March and April, and then depending on where they finish, they're going to probably be in that play-in tournament. But they'll have a chance to get into the playoffs, and not looking that they're going to make a lot of noise there, but it's important to get to the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't think you just tank and you have a chance. You're there. You see it within your sights. You might as well go for it. That's always the way I've thought. So even with the Dolphins, which we're about to talk about here in a second, but the Dolphins, they obviously didn't have a chance to win the AFC East deep into the year. We knew that. But still, you wanted to make the playoffs. And we went to the last Sunday of the year. We needed some help from the Broncos or from the Chiefs to beat the Broncos. That didn't happen. Of course, we didn't take care of our own business by beating the Jets, but you wanted that chance. I mean, I don't think anybody in the right mind would have said, just lose this game. No, you
don't lose it, but it's just, it's deflating right now, kind of seeing how things are turning out. Of course, I would love nothing more than to see my team play into June, but I'm just being kind of realistic, saying hey, this might be the season where not a rebuild, but it's like maybe we really do need that big player signed in the offseason and to figure this out.
Yeah, and I will say this too, that, with basketball has proven to be the sport that the best team ultimately wins. And what I'm talking about is that, in football, it's any given Sunday, right? I mean, you could get lucky, on a Sunday and maybe have that put you on a run because it's only 3 games to get to the Super Bowl as a wild card. In basketball, you got to win 3 out of 4, in a series. Or I'm sorry, you got to win 4 out of 7 in a series. And that's not likely to happen multiple times. Eventually, the better team's going to win. Even in hockey, hockey, it's only happened 3 times where a team went down 3-0 and came back to even force a game 7. And in basketball, it's never happened where a team has fallen down 3-0 and came back to win. So, this is not easy, but in basketball, it's particularly difficult where, the best team usually wins. And right now, the Heat are anything but the best team.
Talking about another team that may have some struggles this upcoming season are the Miami Marlins. Despite spring training starting, and of course we're excited, going to be catching some games in Jupiter. The big elephant in the room is we didn't spend any money in the offseason, right? We pretty much nothing. And yes, we have Sandy Alcantara still with us. He was throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastballs. Though he only pitched 1 inning, but to just see him healthy out there is great. But the consensus is that the expectations are pretty low for the Marlins again this year, especially if the rumors happen that Sandy ends up leaving the Marlins. But right now, their main tagline is that, hey, we have a lot of prospects in the system. We have a great farm league. We've pulled a lot of players from the Dominican Republic, and our management is kind of banking on that and hoping that those turn into big names of Juan Soto down the future. But we want to play baseball now. We want to live in the moment. And the moment is that we have Sandy Alcantara. He's too good to be on the Marlins. And It's unfortunate, but I'm so grateful that we have him for now. And he obviously missed last season with Tommy John surgery. And from what we're seeing, what we're hearing, he looks better than ever. And so I'm personally super excited to see him not only in Jupiter, but he was named the opening day starter.
Yeah.
Opening day is coming up next month. For those who, live in Miami area, it's always a great time to come out. The post-game concert alone is going to be fantastic this year. We're playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. So
Dan Marino throwing out the first pitch.
Dan Marino throwing out the first pitch, which is wild.
Yeah.
So that anything, come out to see Dan the man.
No doubt. Well, so let me talk. I'll talk about the Marlins, but I did mention Brent does say that yes, Golden State is coming down to Miami in March. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see how the fans react to Jimmy's shenanigans when he comes down here to face the Heat. So stay tuned for that. And then Brent also mentions that the Red Sox entered the chat. Well, the Red Sox did sign Alex Bregman from the Houston Astros, so that was a big signing. And of course, he's a third baseman with a lot of power, a lot of pop in his bat, and he's definitely going to be swinging for that green monster in Boston. So we'll see. Spring training started this past week, as you mentioned, officially with the games. The Marlins are off to a 1-1 start. You mentioned Sandy. He pitched 1 inning. He's going to get his motor running a little at a time before that opening day start. But as you mentioned, he looked really good. Also want to mention that Juan Soto, who is now a New York Met, in his first at bat with the Mets, hit a home run. So
shocker.
He's ready to go.
He's adjusted to the Big Apple just fine.
Yeah. So look, baseball is an awesome sport. America's pastime, and so we're excited for it. Coming up, we're going to catch a couple of games.
Of course.
For spring training, we're going to go up to Jupiter and also
West Palm, Port St. Lucie. No, we're going to do the locals within 2 hour drive.
So,
one thing I also want to mention for many of those you guys may have seen, they have this new, which I absolutely hate. It's called the ABS, the saw that the automated strike zone.
Yep.
So players can now contest the calls by an umpire, right? So if a pitch comes in, the batter doesn't like it, they think, hey, maybe it's a ball, the batter can literally challenge the call for the umpire.
Well, the manager, I think it's the manager that gets it.
Well, no, the player was actually the one who initiated it. Because how does the manager see it? The player is the one who lets them know, hey, I think this was a ball.
Got it.
So the player, I'm not sure if they're the ones who initiate to the umpire, but they're the ones who definitely let them know.
Right.
And so basically what this is, okay, you can challenge plays, challenge calls in football. We know that. You could challenge it in basketball. We know that. And obviously overturning is a crucial component of the game. We've seen it go. But again, let baseball be baseball. Just let it be. Blues are not, when I say blues umpires, they're not perfect. They're going to call balls up here. You're going to have a guy like Angel Hernandez who cannot see anything. You know what I mean? Like, just let the game be the game. So I'm totally against reversing pitches. Now, you want to challenge a play at first. Maybe the guy was safe. You call him out. That's fine. But when it comes to home plate, let home plate be sacred. Let that be between the batter, the pitcher, and the umpire. and the catcher. There's no reason to overturn pitches. Pitches are 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm totally against this new system.
No, and I would agree. I think, look, this whole, even the NBA, we go to all the Heat games and you see that green light turn on and they're challenging a play, and these guys put on the headsets. It happens in the NFL too. They put on the headsets like if they're that could have a say in the matter. They don't have a say in the matter. It's in the NBA, it's the caucus, New Jersey, that makes that call. And in the NFL, it's the guy upstairs in the replay booth. I mean, it should not take as long as it takes, and it delays the game. And what happens also is that if you're going to do that for, maybe 2 times a game, what happens in the 9th inning of the World Series when it's a clear ball and it's called a strike? And that's how the World Series ends, but you ran out of challenges. So you got to do it all the way or don't do it at all. So I'm with you.
Hate it.
One of the most egregious calls that I ever saw was, and I forget his name now, I know it was Armando Galarraga, pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. He got robbed of a perfect game, not a no-hitter, a perfect game on the last out of the game on a clear out at first base, and the umpire called him safe. So, something like that, I agree. That's something you got to look at. But a ball and strike of every at-bat, I mean, ridiculous. Some at-bats could last 27 pitches, and you're going to critique, 3 or 4 pitches in an at-bat. I mean, it's getting too crazy.
Don't like it, but love baseball. This is also a very interesting time in the year where you have action from baseball that's starting spring training. You're in the heart of football. You're in the heart of basketball season. You're in the heart of hockey season. So there's very well people out there that can be going to a hockey game, a basketball game, and spring training all in 1 week. It's just obviously the only thing we're missing here is football. But there's a lot of sports going on. And then, of course, looking at the eve of March Madness, which is right around the corner, starting within the next 2 weeks as regular season NCAA play starts to wind down. So just a fun time in sports. And obviously a lot going on ESPN. Talking about ESPN, one more thing. MLB and ESPN broke up.
Yeah,
crazy.
I saw that. And I don't like that either. For you guys in the room, chime in on that, because for me, again, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's boring, baseball is the national pastime. It's like it's a sport that is the longest tenured sport in America. And you got Babe Ruth, all these guys from back in the day, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, all these icons of the game. And so if they get off ESPN, it's going to lead to 2 things. Number one, ESPN's not going to continue to cover it with highlights, or they'll push it to the back burner since they're not immediately involved. And then the other thing is you're going to lose an audience. Like, they had this Friday night Apple TV package for Major League Baseball. I don't think anybody watched that, and that's happening on the MLS now, where Messi, who's down here and playing for Inter Miami, an international superstar, maybe the biggest star in the world is Messi, and he's playing for Inter Miami, and their games aren't on local TV. You got to do it through the Apple network. So I disagree with that. I know that you saw it, but I think you're going to lose a lot of viewers if you take the sport elsewhere and it's not being covered on a daily basis.
So my follow-up to that would be MLB needs ESPN. ESPN does not need MLB. Let me rephrase. Let me say that again. Major League Baseball needs ESPN. They need the viewership. They need the coverage. But ESPN does not need baseball. Yeah. So take it for what it is. Obviously, baseball has the MLB network, but not everybody gets the MLB network. So if this all does pan out, which it kind of is seeming like it is going to be a breakup of ESPN and MLB, I know it will hurt the viewership of baseball. The game, they already say it's a dying breed. Obviously, we're not going anywhere baseball. We love the game, but you are going to start losing those younger generations because they're just not going to see it. They're not going to see it on ESPN. They're not going to see it on the app. They're going to get less coverage of it. And what happens with less coverage? Less exposure, and the game will die down. So unfortunate
I think you nailed it. You nailed it right in the head. I mean, ESPN really doesn't need them.
They don't need
Major League Baseball does. And again, when you have all these, ESPN has 24-hour sports a day. And so if you don't have talking points for what's going on in the game of baseball, on First Take or, all their shows throughout the day, you're not going to get that on TBS. TBS leading up to a baseball game is going to have Friends or, family. Right. It's not going to have, programming centered towards your sport. So I think they're making a huge mistake and not taking whatever deal that was. And I hope they have something up their sleeve because they're, as you mentioned, they're going to lose a lot of viewers.
They will. It's a big whole thing that I think baseball needs to. I don't know what obviously the contract negotiations were, but they are not going to survive solely on the MLB Network. And if they think they're going to try to maybe third party it with like an Amazon or like a Peacock or a Hulu, that's not going to work either. Because these third party networks like an Amazon, a Peacock, and a Hulu, then you got to take their broadcasters. And then, that's also a funny thing too. So in baseball and ESPN, you should be conjoined. It would be terrible to lose America's pastime on the largest sport entertainment network. It doesn't even make sense when you even say it. But if it does come to that, I hope that an Amazon or a Hulu or Prime doesn't pick it up, because that will just be disastrous.
Look, that works for the NFL because the NFL is the number one sport and it's 17 games a year, but not for baseball. And, I wanted to highlight that. So, yeah, Russ agrees, it's got to be, you need more people talking about it. He also mentions this, and it's going to lead to my next point here, that the 76ers are doing, $4 tickets for games, so, these
because they're not doing good. That's right. What the Marlins have it too. If your team's not doing good, of course they're going to sell tickets.
Yeah, but even the NBA product as a whole, we just saw the All-Star game. That was a disaster. Nobody's watching that.
Yeah.
You had Team Chuck and Team Kenny and Team Shaq. You had Kevin Hart telling jokes in between games. Nobody watched it.
Although, let's give shout out to Mac McClung. Dude, can you?
He doesn't play.
He plays in the G League, first of all.
Right, he doesn't play.
Can you slam dunk over a car?
I cannot.
Okay, then.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
All right. That's exactly the problem.
Cool.
You got a guy that's not in the league
winning.
I'm just kidding. By the way, he's a tremendous dunker, and he deserves that. He deserves that crown. Everything about it.
Boy can jump.
Right, but at the end of the day, this is the problem.
Yeah.
The guy is not a star. He's not even in the league. And he is winning a slam dunk contest, on All-Star Saturday night. And then again, you get to the All-Star game itself, and it's a complete debacle.
Okay.
So
let's talk more about All-Star breaks.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, the big talk of the town is the NHL, which
they're the winners.
Somebody who did excellent. The NHL this year decided to do this thing called the Four Nations Face-Off, which essentially felt like almost like the Olympics, especially when USA faced off against Canada last week in Boston. It really felt like I was watching something in France, like the Olympics. It was just so, first of all, hugely televised. We just, for craps and giggles, we looked at ticket prices, and it didn't.
Well, we weren't going to go.
But we just
wanted to see what.
At a puck drop, we were just like, I wonder how much tickets are. Like, guys,
the cheapest ticket to get in, cheapest ticket was like $800, standing room only.
Yeah.
In the top at the TD Bank Arena in Boston, TD Bank Garden, I should say.
The Garden, the fake Garden,
the fake Garden in Boston. So yeah, standing room only was going for $800.
Yeah.
Just the buzz around that game was.
But you wanted to see this matchup, right? So you had 4 teams. You had Sweden, you had Finland, you had Canada, and then you had the United States. So you take those 4 countries respectfully, and then you take the all-stars of the league of the NHL, and you kind of almost like World Baseball Classic, let them represent their country. World Baseball Classic, like Olympics. And that's how it was, right? So you had your Matthew Tkachuks, the USA homegrowns play for Team USA. And then you had your Canadian blood people who, play US teams, like the Florida Panthers, Sam Bennett, go play for Canada, as he should. And that's still his home country, right?
Yeah.
And then you had
Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart that both played for the Panthers, played for Canada.
And then respectfully, you had Finland and Sweden because a team like Russia, so we're not going to have teams. Right. So you had people Finland and Sweden.
And Alexander Barkov, team captain of the Panthers, was the team captain of Finland as well. So no, there's definitely tremendous, and we'll get into that. I just want to back up here in the room really quick. So Brent mentions, look, let's be honest, that people only watch their team when NBA or hockey, but in football, we watch all the games, and he's right. But again, football is a national, sport where the games are all on Sunday for that block, and everybody watches the 1 o'clock games, the 4 o'clock games. If there's a game overseas, they watch the 9 o'clock game. So football is a completely different animal. They can get away with streaming, in our opinion, and I think in your opinion as well. They can get away with streaming on, Netflix and Amazon. Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, they cannot get away with that. Russ mentions, yes, the All-Star game, the facilities suck. Russell mentions that, the NBA is junk. Everybody wants to be buddies. 100%. I mean, Magic and Bird back in the day, Isaiah Thomas, they weren't shaking hands or hanging out after games. These guys are like, chatting it up at halftime. It's completely different game. So 100%. And yes, Russia, just because obviously
the tension.
I know,
but
they
can
weren't
you
allowed
imagine if Russia had a team? Like, they would be such a powerhouse, given all the players that come from that area of the world. It would be a powerhouse. So a lot of players who maybe are Russian descent couldn't play, so they obviously took their talents to play for Team USA.
Yep, no doubt.
Interesting. Okay, so then sticking with the hockey, Florida Panthers. Tonight they're away, but they come home on Thursday.
Yeah, we will be there.
Thursday is very, very interesting. Thursday is the Stanley Cup rematch against the Edmonton Oilers. They come back to Florida to Sunrise on Thursday night. And coming off that, so back to obviously the Four Nations. You guys know how it ended, unfortunately. USA ended up losing 3-2 in overtime. It was a great game. I honestly thought it'd be a little more aggressive in this. It was fast play, right?
Yeah.
It was definitely fast play because you're dealing with the best players in the world, for sure. But they built it up, meaning like the broadcasters and the pregame, that it was going to be a bloodbath, given like the bad blood of the, obviously the tension with the countries and all that stuff in general. But there really wasn't that many fights. I know the Kachuk brothers came out trying to be like a little feisty, but it wasn't like a love match, but it wasn't as dirty as what you might see in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I don't know.
I see your point. You're right, but
Okay.
I think that when it's for it all, in this case, it was for the medal, for first place, and in a game 7. So I think you'll see the theatrics and all that, in the beginning part of the series, or in this case, in initial play, group play, if you will, even though there's only 4 teams. But once it got back to the final game and all that is on the line, I think they scaled it back a little bit. But to your point, and we talked about it when we were watching it, the speed on that ice was just incredible. The talent, the maneuvering, the passing,
good
everything.
Hockey, clean cut,
literally
good hockey.
The best players in the world, and it was a sensation. I mean, it took off on X and Twitter. People were commenting all over. There was a battle between Canada and the United States, talking back and forth. The Canadians were talking a lot of trash. I mean, let's be real. Hockey is our
Paul Bissonnette, he was yapping nonstop.
So nonstop. And look, hockey is like our 7th best sport. The Americans do well at all sports. Let's be real. So, okay, you got hockey. By the way, you didn't blow us out. It was 3-2 in overtime. So, they were making it seem like, the Americans will never catch up to the Canadians. That's hogwash. Yeah, we hung in there, but it was a tremendous game. You got to give them credit. They are the reigning hockey champs. And look, there was a lot at stake, and that's the way the game played out.
It literally felt like an Olympic gold medal game. I mean, everybody was talking about it, even the next day at work. For those people that may not even like hockey, like, it was the talk of the town. And unfortunately, USA did not come home not come home. I mean, it was in our country, but did not obviously heist the championship, the trophy. They got a trophy.
Yeah.
It was still a great, great game to be made. Switching gears to...
Well, before you switch gears, so it's going to take place again because the Winter Olympics are here next year.
The Winter Classic.
No. The Winter Olympics. The Winter Olympics are taking place next year in Italy, and the NHL is going to once again allow the players to play, represent their countries. So we got a taste of this because we're likely, I hope it's USA and Canada. I said Russia. USA and Canada again in the final for the gold medal in Cortino, Italy. I think is where they're playing. But yeah, I mean, we got a taste because I'm hoping that this is going to take place and all the top line players make it over to Italy. I know the NHL is all for it. They're going to put the season on pause during the Winter Olympics and allow the players to play. Yeah. And I can't wait for it. This was awesome, and I cannot wait to see this in Olympic style setting.
And even what I was saying with winter, the Winter Classic. So we mentioned this before weeks ago when we found out on the week of New Year's this year, the Florida Panthers will be hosting the New York Rangers here at Lone Depot Park for an in-season game, which will be outside. That's going to be an amazing, amazing time down here in South Florida, and really excited not only for the Panthers fans to experience an outdoor game, but the Ranger fans are excited to get out of the New York cold, the time when it's freezing up there, to come see hockey down in Miami. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, closing up Dolphins talk. Big news. First of all, when is Tyreek not in the news? He got a haircut, right? That was kind of like big breaking news. Tyreek got a haircut. His dreads are off. Has a nice close buzz cut. He's popping around social media about that. He also had surgery to repair his wrist, which we never really knew the extent of that injury, right? We don't, and who are we to judge? Well, actually, we are to judge because he's on our team. Right. But he never really came out, right? Was it a ligament? Was it a bone? Was it, what type of injury did Tyreek really had? But whatever the case may be, a surgery was performed to hopefully fix the issue that he may have had this season, because he didn't have a stellar year. He hasn't had the year that we're used to Tyreek having, whether in Miami or Kansas City. So hopefully that surgery and that haircut was all a success. Good juju sent his way, that he's going to recover well in the offseason. And before you know it, football season is going to be here. Obviously, the combines start this week. It starts Thursday. They're going to be held at Lucas Oil Stadium, somewhere we were just at
a few months ago. Back, beautiful stadium.
In Indianapolis, for those who don't know. So, obviously Tyreek has this time to hopefully not even only recover and heal and train, but to stay out of trouble. Can I just say it? And then be good as new for camp. It'll be here before you know.
Yep. And so it's funny that Tyreek story broke, and they I guess they had to address and confirm that he got surgery because he was playing, some video game online, and it was recorded that he had something on his hand,
like a cast or something. Yeah.
And so people were questioning it instead of talking about the video game world. They were asking him. So they felt compelled to address the fact that he did in fact have surgery. So hopefully he's got plenty of time to heal here before the season starts. And then you did mention, of course, the NFL Combine starts on February 27th, this Thursday. And obviously the Dolphins will have a lot of personnel out there evaluating, because we need a lot of help at multiple positions. I think the first day is the quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs. And hey, the Dolphins might have to look to take a quarterback here, not in the early rounds, but soon enough, because we've obviously had a problem with our number one starting quarterback and our backups. So they need to consider that. So we'll see. And then the biggest news that just took place today is Teron Armstead, who he agreed that he's going to restructure his contract to the league minimum, to the veteran league minimum, until he figures out if he's going to retire or not. So that is a big deal. Teron Armstead signed a 3-year, $38 million contract. After the signing bonus, it comes out to $12 million annually. And so it's important and very, very selfless of him to do that, because he could just say, hey, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to act like I'm reporting to camp and start getting paid as soon as I can, and then retire right before the season starts and still get get my due money, one, and then two, have it be a salary cap hit against the team. He's elected not to do that before the NFL offseason officially begins, and is pretty much agreed to restructure his contract and give the Dolphins some wiggle room here, where they can have a plan in place to get some more players in here, which we desperately need.
I can name about 10 players off the top of my head that literally just milked the system just down here in Miami, whether NBA or NFL, right, and did not have that same mindset as Teron Armstead. So it is very, like you said, selfless of him to do that, to realize, hey, I'm not at the caliber to what they are paying me. Maybe I can't ever be like that, so let me do the right thing. And again, it's really, really, you said it best, selfless of him to do that. Who doesn't need the money, right? Like, times are up. Look at the cost of eggs, even if you can find eggs. But for him to really take a look at himself in the mirror and say, hey, I respect this organization enough. I respect this league enough. I respect what I brought to this league. And this is kind of where I'm at, is very, very, very honorary and brave of him. And it really shows the type of character that he is. Maybe not the player that he was, especially this year with his injuries, but character sometimes speaks louder volume. So applause to Teron Armstead. You get the golden star tonight for good practice, and we sure wish many other players that come through the Miami system and all our sports would have that mentality instead of milking it.
You really wish that they would do that. He's obviously he's fit in right as he's gotten here. He's missed a lot of games, not going to lie, but that's not because he intentionally wants to do that.
No,
He's banged up a lot, but he's an ultimate team player, and this is just an example about that. So that's awesome. And then
obviously he came from the Saints, when we took him from the Saints. And
there you go. Brent mentioned right there. Armstead, doing what real captains do. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
came in obviously to protect Tua's left tackle, came to protect Tua's
Russ mentions that Tyreek, unfortunately it's looking that way, but hopefully, cool heads prevail here and he's able to get back in there and do the right thing. When he got pulled over, the season pretty much was over there. Absolutely. And then Russ says St. John's. I don't know. What do you think? Talk about St. John's a little bit.
It's all positive around my team right now. We're ranked number 7 in the nation. Let the record speak
for
itself.
Big win in Madison Square Garden against Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm not worried about anything. It's all positive
right now.
St. John's. I'm excited about March.
Number 7, right? Number 7.
Number 7 in the nation.
And they are projected to be where? It was
Seattle.
Latest in Seattle for that first round. So, hey, again, March Madness will be here before we know it. And we're excited. We talked about the big news locally tonight. Besides Teron Armstead, was that the Hurricanes, who are getting their butts kicked by
91, Duke, I believe that's, I could see 91-54. So, like I mentioned before, it's a blowout. Okay, maybe 20 points wasn't a blowout, but I think I get my blowout card back. That there's a blowout happening in the Gables.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so Brent confirms it. And Russell, I'm with you. Love to. That's another guy between Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell. Those are two guys, one side on the offense and the other guy on the defense. And you need more players like that with that dog mentality. Calais Campbell, great example. Russell, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
The fact that he could have asked the Dolphins for an outright release so he can latch on to a team that was definitely going to the playoffs, as opposed to the Dolphins team that at that point was in limbo and in doubt. And he decided to stick it out. So we need more players like that. As Russ mentioned as well, Tyreek, sometimes, his head's all over the place.
Sometimes?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we need more players who are going to have their right frame of mind and be on board. Either you're in or you're out, and unfortunately we have not been able to find that system here and that group of talent that is all about winning and putting the team first above individual accolades or, social media or
overcoming injury. Like there's just a lot of factors that go into it, and keeping players that shouldn't maybe be there, keeping coaches that maybe should not be there. So the Dolphins, there's no one-word answer to kind of correct our problem. It's a multifaceted issue that we have going on here, but it does help the situation when you have veterans like Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead who just bring good vibes on and off the field, shows their character on and off the field. And that's what you need in times of poo-poo.
Yes.
In the land of Dolphins.
That is a great way to say it.
So, right.
Yep. That's pretty much it. I mean,
what are you going to say about Dolphins? You guys know that the draft's coming up, obviously, in April. That'll be held in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Schedule release will projected to be second week of May, although last year was very interesting because they pushed it back on us till the third week of May, and that was not cool. But we know that football will start being teased back into our life through the combine, which is always fun to watch. Just players go out there and see how fast they can run, see how high they can jump, and just to really gauge what's out there. And then obviously the draft is just a whole thing that, we haven't done together, but maybe down the road we can get there. And then the schedule release is obviously our big grail of kind of dictating our life to figure out where we're going to go for the rest of the year.
And I will say this, I'm not sure if we mentioned this before our last show, but the NFL announced that the LA Chargers are going to be they're going to be playing in Brazil week 1. So obviously the Eagles will open up that season on Thursday Night Football. And then the Chargers are going to be playing an undecided yet team in Brazil. So that tells us that the Dolphins will not be playing in Spain that opening week. So because of that, we know that the international games that are played in England and Germany and now Madrid, Spain.
And Ireland as well.
And
then Australia.
Eventually.
For
this year coming up, we know now that the Dolphins game in Madrid is likely to take place in either October or November. It will not be opening weekend. They are not going to, the LA Chargers game in Brazil is going to have all the attention to its own. the Eagles will have the attention first on Thursday, but then that game's on Friday, so you're not going to get the Dolphins opening up in Madrid week 1.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. I really hope it's October. October would be an amazing time to have it. We do Fans Club weekend, usually the second or third week of October. So I think it would be a great opportunity to for Dolphin fans to get to Spain. Obviously, the big conflict that people have talked about is Real Madrid. Their football, what they call football there, is their holy grail of what they eat, sleep, breathe by. So I can promise you that if they're going to choose Real Madrid or if Miami Dolphins come there, those fans are definitely going to want to see the Real Madrid. So we're not of preference necessarily. So we're kind of going to have to fit in there a little bit.
Yeah,
we got to make it work.
You got to navigate the schedule too to see when they're playing, but they also take up a lot of extra games, tournaments, friendlies, so you can't really, pinpoint a date just yet. How about this? Dolphins versus Bengals is Russell's prediction. You mentioned another team. Who do you see?
I see the Commanders.
The Commanders.
Yeah, I think the Commanders would be a good sell. Obviously, they're coming off a pretty good year.
Heck of a year. Very marketable quarterback, Jade Daniels.
So I think the Redskins, Commanders, just kidding. I think the Commanders may end up seeing this. It's not going to be an AFC game, an AFC East. I'm sorry. It's not going to be an AFC East game. They're not going to pull that from the schedule. They're going to keep those home and away respectively. Dolphins will still go to Buffalo. Buffalo will still come here. Like, that'll all stay the same.
Right.
So I could definitely see a team like the Commanders meeting us in Madrid.
Yeah. So, and I see what you're saying, and I think it definitely needs to be, a player with, some kind of a name to him. It can't just be some, backup quarterback or a non-established player. Jaden Daniels, up-and-coming player, got star potential all over it.
Yeah.
But I agree with Russell here. Joe Burrow is already an established star. People love him. And then another guy who, is a former MVP and people love the way he plays because he's very exciting is Lamar Jackson. So I think it's going to come down to
that's too big of a game, right?
Well,
no, that one's
that's
too.
What you need.
No, that one's too.
But it's
big.
It's the first ever game.
And I don't want to get arrested in Spain dealing with the Ravens fans. They're not nice. They're one of the not nice fan bases, and I can maybe get out of jail here. I can't get out of international jail. No, I don't think it's going to be the Ravens. You can mark me on that one. That's too big. That could be easily a Monday night game, potentially. Lamar, coming back to Miami. Obviously, he's from South Florida. Hopefully, maybe AFC playoff contention down the road. That game's too big, right? I don't see that one. That one I can't give to you. I can't give you the Bucks, right? That was another one that was maybe yaps. That's too much of an easy trip for the Bucks fans to come down here.
They'll be upset because they won't be able to come down here in another 8 years.
Yeah, so again, that's one that they'll leave the Buck fans come here. Ravens, I could see as a Thursday night or I could be like a Thursday night or a Monday night or a Sunday night prime. I do see, let me rephrase that. I do see that Ravens game getting some prime time action. So that's why it does make sense for it to be the Commanders out in Spain. So that's my guess.
Yeah. And Brent mentions that don't say backup yet until the cover of the Madden is released because that's a real thing right there. So you got to definitely wait for that. And then Russ mentions, Packers and Eagles was the game that should have been in the link. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, that it takes away from the fans. So regardless, whether it is the Commanders, whether it's the Ravens or the Bengals, Miami's going to lose a prime, matchup at home, and that sucks, because but hold on, and especially if it's a good team like that, they're going to lose a prominent opponent coming here. It's good for the matchup wise, but you're also going to again lose the home field advantage because it now becomes a neutral setting instead of having home field advantage. Just saying.
If I could add on that, I feel that Ravens fans, if you want to bring Ravens into the talk, Cincinnati fans, they would be more prone to go to Spain as opposed to Commanders fans. And I'm not taking that away from Commanders fans because obviously they have literally gone through hell and back with their franchise being crappy, then name changes and, obviously field and all that stuff.
Right.
But I feel that you would get a bigger crowd coming from Cincinnati or Baltimore as opposed to Washington. Again, Washington fans will travel. But I don't think the Dolphins would be at a disadvantage in regards to amount of fans not cheered for the Dolphins if it was the Commanders.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
All right, we got Crazy Dolphin checking in. Thank you, Crazy Dolphin. Appreciate it. Yes, please like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And again, just recapping a great week that has been, well, it's only Tuesday.
$14 million raised at
Yes.
GCC, not by us, but everybody. We all raised $14 million. 6,000 participants this year that were in person, that were doing the race virtually.
Got my medal to prove it.
Thank you for everybody who has donated to the cause. 100% of all funds received does support cancer research. So it is huge. In addition, it is the largest fundraiser in all of pro sports. That's all of pro sports. I want to repeat that. Yes, there's other organizations like the Eagles who do autism and who do a great job of what they do. Obviously, baseball does their own initiatives. The Marlins do their things. But the Miami Dolphins and Sylvester Cancer and Canes have the largest fundraiser in all of pro sports. And I know we, as I speak for both of us, are honored to be a part of it. We already look forward to next year. It's such an important day. Cancer is something that is out of control. And everybody knows somebody who has lost their battle or is fighting. And it needs to stop. Right? It needs to stop.
Agreed.
So here we are. Again, it was my third one. It was your first one, your first medal, your first 5K. And we look forward to season 16 next year.
Absolutely. Can't say it better than that. All right. So what do you say? Want to wrap it up here?
Let's do it.
Yep. So again, we got a busy week coming up ahead. We got March Madness on the verge.
Cannot wait.
St. Patrick's Day coming up. Spring is almost here.
There's a lot. Ash
Hopefully,
Wednesday, everything's
Ash
coming
Wednesday.
up. Mardi Gras. There's just so much.
So yeah, just hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Isn't March your favorite month? You always say that.
I love March.
You do.
As I mentioned,
guy.
you got you got St. Patrick's Day. You got March Madness. You got the Masters in golf. You got spring training. Baseball officially starts.
Yeah.
Spring break. You got a bunch of races. NASCAR. I mean, everything is in full bloom, and so I definitely love it. Yeah.
Minus this Sunday, which you do not like.
I do not like this Sunday.
You know why?
No, I don't. Why?
Daylight savings time. You lose an hour.
No, you gain an hour.
No, you don't. You fall back, spring ahead. You spring back, and you lose an hour.
Is it this Sunday?
It's this Sunday or next Sunday, but it is. But I'm almost positive it's this Sunday.
Somebody confirmed that in the room because I wasn't prepared for that. I do like it.
When is daylight savings time?
I do like it because you might lose an hour that one night, but you get that daylight back, and I'm all about that daylight. I don't like that.
Daylight saving time starts on Sunday.
It's actually worse because it's next Sunday, and I know you have other obligations. So
yeah, that's true too.
So
but
next Sunday is when it comes, but you lose an hour.
Yeah. Either way, and Brent, I know you agree with me. Give me that extra hour of daylight. I don't need to be dark at 5:30 in the afternoon. That's ridiculous.
Oh, I disagree. I'd rather it be brighter in the morning. Well,
I don't know about that.
No, night times for sleeping. I like dark. I'd rather it be late at 6:30.
You're very odd in that, and probably on your own. So
when you have to be at work at 7.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you say? We wrap it up here?
Let's do it, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on episode 99 of the SoFLo Sports Show. We are going to have a big one for 100. Don't know what we're going to do yet, but it's going to be grand. We're on the plans of that. 100 episodes. We've been doing this for, 2.5, 3 years?
2.5 years almost. Yeah, almost 3 years. Almost 3 years. Yeah.
And so it has been a wonderful journey for those who have been with us since the beginning.
Thank you, guys.
From Bad Calls, Balls, and Brawls, which we originally started as, to now the SoFLo Sports Show, to our non-existing opening, to everything we have, through all the guests who have been on the show throughout the last 2.5 years. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to bringing you guys episode 100 coming up soon. So stay tuned for the details on that.
Yep, perfect. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome week ahead, what's left of it, a great upcoming weekend. And, we're counting down to football.
Amen to that.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Peace. Take care.